Hello, my name is John Powers, and we're here at Old City Cemetery. And just in the way of an introduction, I've been living here in this area for about 15 years after I retired from the Air Force. And I took up beekeeping as a hobby a little over 10 years ago, and also joined the Virginia Master Naturalists about the same time, and the tree steward. So I'm a certified Virginia Master Naturalist, tree steward, beekeeper, and just an all-around kind of guy that loves nature. I just try to learn it on my own, use iNaturalist app as much as I can to learn things. And if you're a beekeeper, one tree that in this area particularly that you just have to love is this tree, tulip poplars. Tulip poplar is one of the favorite trees for honeybees in this region. If we ever had some sort of a blight that killed off tulip poplars, it would be devastating to Central Virginia beekeepers because this tree is just so important. The bees love this flower that comes this time of year, and it's a really pretty flower. And sometimes you don't notice it because they're up high, and tulip poplars tend to want to grow really high when they're sun challenged. But when they're in the open like this, they have this beautiful wide horizontal canopy, and you get to see, and I don't know if the camera will really appreciate it, but there are these beautiful yellowish green blossoms all over this tree. Like I said, this is a wonderful tree that honeybees love, and other bees too, and other creatures. As Nora was saying, these tend to fall down, the flowers do, when the wind blows them down. And they don't last there very long because the squirrels eat them, the deer eat them, other things eat them. So it's just, it has a diverse way of feeding nature. And so that's why it's one of the wonderful trees. And there are a lot of wonderful trees here in Old City Cemetery.
There you go. Hi, we're at Old City Cemetery today. I'm Nora Cox, and I'm helping Miss Kathy Driscoll on a little virtual field trip to learn about some of the trees that represent native trees in our area here in Virginia. This is a beautiful white pine right here, and the small little structures that we see this time of year are the pollen producing structures that cover your car in yellow dust. And they're going to fertilize the things that grow to become a pine cone. And the distinguishing features for how to identify a white pine are when you look at the bundles of the leaves and you pull one off, they're in sets of 5 needles. And it's the only pine tree that's in our Virginia pine book, in our Virginia trees book, that has 5 needles per bundle. And another feature of white pine are the way the branches come out of the trunk. They come at certain intervals and look like wagon wheel spokes. And so you can always tell a white pine, no matter what the age, by how the branches come out. And the internode, the little section in between, represents 1 year of growth. So that's our wonderful white pine, used for furniture. Used back in the day, it was the largest white pine the colonists found. They used it for ship's masts, and lots of nice uses, very ornamental tree, and even used for Christmas trees. Okay, we're still at the Old City Cemetery here in Lynchburg, and this time we're going to tell you about the Osage Orange grove that they have here. They've planted 4 trees here in a row, and there's a reason for that. There are 2 male trees and 2 female trees because the flowers are on separate trees. And I thought that was just a really cool thing. Everybody mostly has seen the big green brains in the fall that fall down around Halloween, and that's the fruit of the Osage Orange tree. Back in the day, the tree was really sort of native to the Midwest, and the Native Americans used them to make bows because they were very flexible and strong. Settlers used them for tool handles, fence posts, and even planted the trees, which are very thorny, before the invention of barbed wire. So it's been a very, very useful tree, and you see them around town, and they're just a fun tree to learn about.
Welcome, it's Kathy Driscoll this time, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the magnolia trees here at the Old City Cemetery. This particular one that we're looking at now is massive. It's hard to get it all into the screen, but this is a southern magnolia. Although it is native to the United States, it is native to the southern United States. It's a very southern tree that has been very popular in planting in Virginia, plantations, including places like the cemetery, because it is large, and it also means, in the southern culture, hospitality. So we're going to take a look at a native magnolia tree that you would find here in Virginia. Okay, so now I am actually standing at a tree that is native to Virginia, and this is called the umbrella magnolia. It is actually a deciduous tree, meaning that it drops its leaves in the fall. Unlike the southern magnolia, the leaves were bright green and thick and waxy, and therefore it is an evergreen, so it would not drop its leaves in the fall time. The things that were very common between the two trees is the flowers that are produced in the springtime. This is one of the types of flower for the umbrella magnolia tree, and over here is actually almost ready to bloom out for us.
Hi, we're back again. This time we're under this beautiful Buckeye tree planted here at Old City Cemetery as an ornamental. They have very, very tall flower spikes with multiple flowers on them. They look like little birds if you look up real close. You know a Buckeye tree by its leaves because it has a palmately compound leaf. What does that mean? It looks like the palm of your hand, and the little leaflets are kind of like little fingers. Later on in the year, when they have a nut fruit from these flowers, it looks a lot like a chestnut, but they're poisonous, so we can't eat those. But the mountain people back in the day would carry some in their pocket for good luck, and I knew a gentleman who did that. Oh no, look what we found on this tree. Giant pointy thorns. Oh my goodness, what kind of a tree is this? Hi, we're still at the Old City Cemetery, but we found this scary, scary tree. It's a honey locust tree, and it was planted by settlers probably for fence posts, and it's very, very rot resistant wood and grows really, really fast. It has a different shape of leaf than the tree that we looked at earlier, the Buckeye tree. These are pinnately compound instead of palmately compound because it's just a long pin in the middle, and then all the little leaflets come off the side. And these brown things hanging here are the flowers. They're a little bit past their prime, but they're very fragrant and make these sort of pod-like things look like beans. And lots of different wildlife use those seeds as food later on in the year when they fall off. And these long thorns that you can see were often used by settlers as needles or pins. So it's a very, very interesting tree, but not very friendly. All right, so I hope you enjoyed some of the trees we looked at today at Lynchburg's Old City Cemetery Museum and Arboretum. I thought I'd show you the book we were using to get some of our information from, and it helps us identify trees even if you're out in the forest. This Native Trees of Virginia book is for sale on the Virginia Department of Forestry website. It's not very expensive, and it's just a really, really nice book. Great gift for kids, just a great book to have. So we're going to end today by showing you what the cemetery is really known for, and it's the antique roses planted all around, especially along this old brick wall. And there's so many different kinds of roses, we're so beautiful.
House, which is loaded with herbs, but they also have lots of lovely roses. So we're just going to kind of do a very slow walk amongst the very fragrant Rosaceae family. And you may notice some of the gray flowering plants. Those are called lamb's ear because they're soft as a lamb. But these tea roses and these lovely candlelight yellow roses emit such a wonderful fragrance. You can smell it through the camera, can't you? The Old City Cemetery, as Nora was saying, is famous for their roses, and they have a rose sale this time of year. But great care is taken for these flowers so that people come from near and far, photographers, people that love roses especially, weddings. It's just a beautiful oasis of roses. And so as we continue to the Confederate section of the cemetery, there are roses along the very antique brick wall where they've trained roses to climb up over this lovely wall. Which I have to admit, I love flowers, but I am not very good at growing roses. It is a real talent. I'm just going to pan all the way down at this wall to show you of all the flowers and roses that are here. My goodness, they have hostas. I can't believe the deer haven't eaten that. So I'd like to end now here at the Old City Cemetery at one of my favoriteest trees. This is the sugar maple, and she's so large I would need a wide angle lens. And check out her circumference. It's a big tree. I'd also like to say thank you to Nora Cox, a friend and a master naturalist, as well as John Powers, another master naturalist and beekeeper, for taking us on this virtual tour. So, to say goodbye appropriately, Nora and I are going to give, I call this grandmother maple, a big hug. Hug our tree. See you guys soon.